We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book. Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching?
This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book. Jeff Parles, Alex White. Happy to be with you as always. We will see our good friend Chris Andrews in about 15 minutes from now. Very busy morning at the South Point Sportsbook, Alex.
Of course, wrapping things up from this weekend and then a doubleheader tonight that they have to prepare for. So looking forward to that one. Another 2 NFL games. Hopefully East Coast people can make it for the second one.
They'll be all right. They'll be all right.
I
West
would
Coast.
not be.
What? You will not be?
I will be here I live in Vegas.
I was going to say, I would have been concerned there for a second. Hey, West Coast, Best Coast, right? That's what they say. But looking forward to that. We got two really interesting games in the NFL. A whole weekend of recap that we'll get with Chris. But we'll start with tonight first. Before Chris gets down here, and then you and I will have some thoughts. Of course, there was a major injury in the NFL yesterday that is going to change a lot of things, and it was another crazy week in college football, and might be the end of Dabo Swinney at Clemson. But that's a different conversation for about 15 minutes from now. But let's begin in Houston, Texas here tonight, Alex. It's the first of 2. The Houston Texans home opener against they host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs, I know last night ended up being an ugly game where J.J. McCarthy looked like a rookie again, other than one quarter against Chicago, has really struggled. But Tampa's got to get, at least to me, got to get vaulted a little bit because of that result last night. Because, you know what? Baker Mayfield's struggles last week may have just come because Atlanta's defense is vastly improved.
Yes.
And Alex, tonight, here on the road, it's been stuck at 2.5 for a few days now. With the Texans favored, of course, Houston, ugly game themselves against the Rams. They lose 14-9. 2.5 Texans favored, total 42.5 in this one.
So this one's really interesting because the total has been bet down. And if you're going off of the results from last week, I can totally understand, right? Both offenses looked down and looked like they were struggling. And we know Houston has their O-line issues. But, I mean, I could see both of them getting going here in this one. And we do have a better environment here in Houston with the Dome. And even though it was a bad week, Mayfield still had 3 touchdown passes, 0 picks. He did throw the ball and put it in danger. 10.5 turnover-worthy plays for him, according to PFF, which is way worse than C.J. Stroud, who was 2.63. But they really they need Mixon back, right? Couldn't get their run game going, and that was kind of with both these teams. So that makes it a little interesting, too. I like the Bucs, though, a lot. Plus 2.5. I made this game closer to a pick. I'm very high on Tampa Bay, if you've watched any of our videos. So I think they can go there and they can win this game. I really think that the Texans' O-line issues are a problem. And I think that their offense is still going to struggle a little bit, even though I think the Rams' defense might be a little better than Tampa Bay's. I like the Bucks here in this spot.
So just looking at last week real quick, let's start with that last thing you said with the struggles of the Houston offensive line. Stroud was running for his life all game last week. And you're playing a Rams defense that, we talked about the Rams in the offseason. I was significantly higher on their defense than you were going in through 2-game sample size. Looks okay, but look, they played a bottom 5 offensive line and a rookie quarterback. And so far, we'll learn a lot more about the Rams when they play the Eagles this upcoming Sunday in an NFC playoff rematch. But for Houston, I don't want to overreact to saying, hey, you got to have it in week 2. But with the fact that the Colts are 2-0, when I don't think anyone expected that, especially when the Colts hadn't won a week 1 game since I was in high school. It's been a while. The Texans play Jacksonville next week in Jacksonville, with the Jags coming off a game that, quite frankly, they should have won yesterday in Cincinnati. This is gut check. This is a gut check game here in week 2 for Houston, where this thing could spiral out of control pretty quickly. If you lose this game, if you go on the road and lose to Jacksonville and you're 0-3, it's sub 7% to make the playoffs once you start 0-3.
Right.
Since the Texans themselves came into the league about 25 years ago now. I actually am going to look to the total here in this, Alex, and I actually like this under 42.5. Now, I don't really love either defense that much. That's the interesting part with this, where I think Tampa's defense is not as good as it should be with the talent that's on this defense. And Houston, I still have questions, but boy, that young talent looked really darn good against a high-end offense a week ago in the Rams. But you brought this up on Friday with this game. Hassan Reddick looked awesome in week 1 for Tampa Bay. And that gives them an extra dimension to rush the passer. You already have to deal with Vita Vea. I'm concerned about Houston's ability to block in this game. So I think this game's played in the high teens, low 20s. I really wish I got in earlier when the number was a little bit higher, but 42.5 I still think is good to the under here tonight. I don't know who's going to win this game. I think 2.5 feels about right. Yeah. If you told me Tampa won the game outright, sure. You told me Houston wins by a field goal at the end by Fairbairn, yeah, I could see it all. I think this is a tight, low-scoring, ugly game between the Texans and the Bucs tonight. So you're on Tampa. I'm on the under here in game 1 here for this one. All right, game 2 tonight, just down the road from us. Raiders, Chargers. Well, with the Joe Burrow injury and Kansas City's 0-2 start thrown in there, this is all of a sudden, this is a huge one for both of these teams. Winners in first place by themselves after Denver's game of the day for me. I know people say Giants, Cowboys, but Denver and Indy was an awesome game as well that Indy won thanks to a bad, correctly called penalty by Denver. Schrader made the re-kick from 45. It was the right call. They showed a replay of it. It was a blatant leverage. But here you go tonight. Been stuck on 3.5 with the Chargers laying a total 46.5 in this one, Alex.
So I didn't love too much yesterday. Actually, both New York teams, I like the points with them. One of them fared well. Yep, so split there. But these are 2 of my better plays here with the dogs. So I like the Raiders getting 3.5, and I like the Bucs. And mostly for the Raiders it was really hard to put a number on how good and how much they would improve this year, right, with the head coach, because you can have numbers and we can see from Aiden O'Connell up to Geno Smith, this amount of points. But really what Pete Carroll has done already, I think it's going to translate here. And Harbaugh, don't get me wrong, he's done a lot with this team in one short year, and they just took out the AFC champs in the Chiefs last week. But I think that this game's going to be close. They always play close, and Raiders at home here catching 3.5. This one's interesting total-wise, too, because both offenses looked awesome last week, right? Mm-hmm. And then defenses, not so much. Even the Chargers, who we have top 5, top 10 defense in the league, wasn't spectacular against the Chiefs. So curious to see what we get here from the total standpoint. I don't think it's going to be as high-scoring as people, but it very well could be. But all in all, I like the 3.5. I think that hook really matters here, too.
Yeah, high 40s feels right for me. That we're just on the cusp of that. If you told me 28-21, you told me 24-20, I'd listen to all those very easily. I'm with you. I made this game a pick. I know that's way different than what the market says, but I guess I'm much higher on the Raiders, and I don't, as good as Justin Herbert and company looked last week, look at the opponent. Chiefs aren't that good, especially without Rashee Rice on offense, and again, without Worthy that whole game. And the Chiefs still averaged north of 6 yards a play. So I thought the Chargers defense was in for a regression anyway this year because they were so good at just not allowing points.
Yeah.
And the yardage didn't really line up with the amount of points they allowed last year. So
Right.
I thought they were in for a regress. Again, the Raiders are one of the most, based off, again, it's one game. It's a long season, obviously. But based off one game, they improved more than anybody from the end of last year to this year. Real quarterback in Geno Smith, adult in the room at Pete Carroll as the head coach. We know how good Graham is at the defensive coordinator. He's now survived 3 different coaching staffs, just shows how good he is. And Chip Kelly is a great offensive play caller. Now, I am concerned about Brock Bowers' health tonight. We expect him to play, but he's been banged up all week, didn't practice a few times this week after suffering an injury last Sunday in New England. But I like the Raiders. I like them plus 3.5, and I'm going to be on the money line as well with the Raiders on a small piece. This feels like a field goal game. This feels like one way or another, someone's winning by a field goal to me. And I like the Raiders at home. And this is one of the few games that could actually have a Raider home field advantage. Could. I say could. We'll see how the crowd is tonight because, again, we know that the traveling fans love traveling here to Vegas. And I know we talked with Chris last week that he has a 0 on home field here at Allegiant Stadium for the Raiders. All right, we'll have more on this game as we go through. Chris Andrews will give the book's perspective as well. We'll see what makes the whiteboard at the end of the show as well from these 2 games for the Raiders hosting the Chargers and the Bucs on the road at the Texans tonight. We're going to take a quick break, and we get back. Chris Andrews will join us next, give the book's perspective on tonight and what we saw over the weekend as well. And also ticker trivia presented by City Lights Shine coming your way as well in the ticker very soon. So we'll be back with that when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White, and now joining us, Sportsbook Director, our good friend Chris Andrews, who is off of a tremendous weekend. And if you listen to Football Frenzy on a Friday, you had a pretty tremendous weekend if you tailed our friend Chris Andrews.
Well, I
this
went
week.
2-1 in the pros.
Yep.
I lost Arizona.
Well, that was a horrible
I had
one.
that one in my pocket. And I don't announce it till after they close the Westgate contest. But I put it out on Twitter. I was 6-1 in the contest.
Very good.
Not a bad week.
Chris, not to make you feel what could have been on Arizona, our friend David Purdom sent us out this morning on the Arizona game. It started with rare beat, which is always a good sign, right? Since week 14 of the 2022 season, teams that trailed by 24 or more in an NFL game were 0-111 against the spread in those games.
Wow.
Until yesterday.
Now they're 1.
Now they're 1-111 since week 14 of 2022.
I thought I had that one in my pocket.
I had to put that game back on the quad box. I got rid of it. But yeah, that was an interesting one to say the least. All right, Chris, let's start with tonight before we get into the week that was. Two really good games tonight. Yeah. And it's a split, and it's an actual doubleheader for once, too. Yeah. Bucks and Texans first. Texans 2.5-point favorites at home. And then the game just down the road from us, Raiders and Chargers. Chargers 3.5-point road favorite.
Great betting games. I don't have strong opinions in either one of them. I like Tampa a little bit, I would say. And I kind of like the Chargers. I know you guys like the Raiders. The one thing I talked about it during our shows this last week, the thing that really impressed me about the Chargers was Jim Harbaugh. I think he made great adjustments at halftime. And I think, Herbert's been just under that top echelon of quarterbacks. But I think this could do it this year. Could be. I mean, like, we're one game in, But I like what I've seen. I like what I've seen out of Harbaugh. Maybe they've kind of figured some things out. We talked about, he took Colin Kaepernick to the Super Bowl. Look what Alex Smith did under Harbaugh. He's been a terrific quarterback coach, and I think that could be the missing link with Herbert. So, listen, it's not one of my plays. I hate laying points on the road. And Jeff, you made a point that I do give the Raiders a 0 for home field at this point in time. This may be the game where they have an edge at home
maybe.
field. And if things turn around, listen, you have to be elastic, if that's the right word, in making your evaluations, and if all of a sudden they have a home field advantage, and we have to adjust.
What's interesting with the Chargers is last year we knew exactly what Jim Harbaugh wanted to do, and that was run the ball, and he was very conservative for the first half, and then he kind of started to trust Justin Herbert more, but he just came out this season, right, just throwing the ball a lot, so that makes it a little tougher for defensive coordinators to prepare for this game. It's not just, hey, he's going to try and run the ball all the time. It's now they got a quarterback who can throw it too.
Well, it's such like you just said, like you both said, just Harbaugh's whole career. Like at Michigan, what do they want to do? They run it to smash you in the mouth, run the ball. At Sanford with the Niners, they never had great quarterbacks. They had Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick while he was there. They wanted to smash you in the mouth with Frank Gore and a great offensive line. Stanford, same deal. They was always run first. And because of that Rashawn Slater injury, I think he realizes that his offensive line can't really run block.
Right.
But they can pass block. Yeah. And when you got a guy like Herbert, who, Herbert is the most passing yards in the first 4 years of his NFL career in NFL history. Yeah. So, guy can play. With just the last taste in our mouth last year was really bad because of how bad he was in that playoff game.
Well, if you watch that last game, what I really liked about Herbert, too, he was also very decisive. He went back, boom, that ball was out in 2 seconds, maybe 2.2 or something like that. He was very decisive. He's looking at that. I don't know if it's just his first read, but, he's going through his reads very quickly. And, he delivered. And I think I was very impressed all the way around with that team.
Chris, let's go to yesterday first, and we'll get to a few things. And I know we got one of your favorites that we'll get to in a little bit. But we have to start with the Bengals. Yeah. Because, yes, they win. They win in dramatic fashion. But Joe Burrow, and this was confirmed this morning, he's going to need surgery on that toe. And it's going to knock him out at least 3 months. And could very easily turn into a full-year injury again for Burrow. Look, Browning came in. He was uneven, but led the touchdown drive at the end to win the game by 4. But, Chris, this is Joe Burrow missing a huge chunk of the season for the 3rd time in his NFL career. He's only been in the league since 2020. How big is the adjustment from Burrow to Browning here moving forward?
Well, I adjusted a lot less than other people, I'm sure. Two things involved. Number one, I like Browning. I think he's a very good backup, maybe one of the best in the NFL. He's a very good passer. Now, he's not Joe Burrow. The thing is, I didn't have the Bengals that highly rated. So I lowered them 3 points. I was talking to somebody this morning. I says, look at the Bengals, and they have Burrow, and they have great skill position players. But, what are their weaknesses? Defense and the offensive line. Yeah. I mean, man, you go and ask any pro or any coach, of a successful program. You start your offense on the offensive line. Of course, you have to have a quarterback.
Sure.
The offense starts at the offensive line, and you better play some good defense. I mean, I think it was Adam Schefter was on this morning talking about this is in the last 3-4 years. They're like the best defense they've had in the league is like number 29. Jeez. So I mean, I only lowered it 3 points. Like I said, I didn't have them rated that highly in the first place, and I just there's so many things about this Bengal team that I don't like. But of course, Burrow. I mean, I would share all the accolades that people say about him, but he didn't win last year. The Bengals didn't win last year because of those two problems I just talked about.
Real quick, Dallas and Giants yesterday was a little ridiculous to put it the very least. I know from a betting perspective, game zoomed over, Giants covered all numbers, but the point I want to make with this is Brandon Aubrey, at the end of that game, after the Giants go back up with 30 seconds left, Chris, as soon as they got the ball in the midfield, it's like, all right, this game's going to overtime.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable how good, Boswell, the true high-end kickers, as long as they're within 70 yards, it's like, all right, they're making this, and we're either playing on or the Steelers or Cowboys have won.
And it's funny because early in the day, there was a couple missed extra points.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple missed field goals. But, when he got there, you think, okay, here we go. But, to backtrack a second, we, as bookmakers, we can't get, and I think it was John Murray was quoted, we can't get a legit dog to win. I thought we had one. I mean, we got the Colts. Okay.
A 1 point dog.
What's the other game was like a 1 point dog?
Atlanta, the nighttime you got.
Well, okay, I was going to get to that one. Yeah. But New England, they won as like a
2.5.
2 point dog, whatever. And we did get that one with Atlanta. But meanwhile, they steamed us on Atlanta pretty good. That was not a good result for us. But we, it's kind of like the same pattern as last year. These favorites, even when they don't cover, they're winning games. I would say the Seahawks, that was actually a really, really good game for us. They bet the point spread and the money line on Pittsburgh. So that was a really good game for us.
I'm glad I stayed off of that one.
Yeah, me too.
Do you remember last week at lunch, I said to Jeff, I go, wait a minute, you like the points with the Giants, but you're using the Cowboys as your survivor? You're messing with fire. But
I got there.
You got there.
I got there.
That is messing with fire.
I got there. That's all that matters. Boy, that Caleb Johnson gaff was as bad of a gaff as I've ever seen, Chris, in the Pittsburgh game.
Oh, really? You're too young to remember Barry Foster.
Yes, I am.
Okay, because he did the exact same thing.
Yeah, that was bad.
We were joking about it, my friends. They should have got the special teams and put up that Barry Foster clip and said, see this? Do not do
that. Let's go to two games at once here in that late slate, because you mentioned Arizona and Carolina. The other two games were one-score type games. The Indy game ends in crazy fashion with Lutz doinking a field goal that would have made it a game where Indy had to go down and score a touchdown to win the game on Denver. Then Indy inexplicably settles for the 60-yard field goal that had no chance, but get bailed out by a leverage penalty on Denver. Schrader makes the 45-yard field goal. Indy wins as a small underdog. Yeah. And then you have Kansas City and Philly. A lot of people aggravated at the tush push this morning, to say the very least.
Yeah. Put me on that list, too.
Yeah. But the Eagles win, and the Chiefs are 0-2, which is big news for a lot of reasons. But, Chris, Indy and Kansas City, for a point you have made plenty through the years, were both home underdogs this past week. Mm-hmm. Looking ahead to week 3, Indy's a favorite on the road at Tennessee. Kansas City's a favorite on the road at the New York Giants.
Okay. Tweeted that out this morning because guys were asking me about it. And it is true. And that's when my Uncle Jack used to, God rest his soul, and one of the best handicappers of all time. He hated all those trends that people quote. And I remember I was with a guy, working with a guy one time, and he'd love to put out all those trends. And every time I'd say, you got like 10 trends on every game. After reading your trends, I want to bet every penny I have on and against both teams, because all it is data mining. But that was one, and it goes back to, an old saying you hear, perception is reality. Well, it is and it isn't. When it comes to the point spread, perception is reality. But once they get on the field, reality is reality. My perception of reality would be Arizona should have covered that game yesterday, but they didn't. The reality is they didn't. The perception was they were at least 7 points better than that other team. But that's the thing. And if you, as a better handicapper, if you could see where reality is not, perception does not equal reality, then that's how you can make a living in this business. Now, I don't have the numbers offhand, but it's about 60-some percent, maybe like about 65%, because of the perception and reality. And where that comes back to is now all of a sudden this team that was a home dog, and usually they won. Not, in the case of Kansas City, it's not so, but usually they win as a home dog, and then they go on the road and they become a favorite. And I got to tell you, I mean, if you just go by pure numbers, both those plays, the favorite would make some sense, but, there's a lot going on there, just psychologically and, in the point spread. And I think the point spread will go up in both those games myself. And I definitely like the Giants. And who's the Colts playing?
At Tennessee.
They're at Tennessee. Yeah, that's, that's going to be a tough one. But, if you, again, perception. If perception puts that point spread up a little bit higher, you might get some value there, and I think you probably will.
Cam Ward did get his first touchdown pass in the NFL, so maybe feeling good going into that game. But I want to ask you about the other one, and that's the Giants. And just, were you surprised that we saw Jackson dart in the way that we did and what Dabble chose to do with kind of going back and forth? Yeah,
it was bizarre to me.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I mean, Wilson had 420 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
450. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think bizarre might be a good, an apt description of that. But, as we said, even going into that game, we let 3 hours on the previous Sunday influence us too much, because, Dallas looked pretty good in a loss and the Giants looked terrible in a loss, and we let that affect us. Meanwhile, we tossed out 6 months of, what our perceptions were, and that was that the Giants were going to be pretty good and Dallas was going to struggle this year, and I mean, that game was as crazy as any game I've seen in a long time. But I do think the Giants happen to be the right side. I mean, for Jeff, I'm glad they didn't.
Hey, look,
I win the game, but I'm glad they covered.
Well, okay, Chris, I am losing the game for Survivor with 28 seconds left. I'm supposed to lose 98% of the time.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember another one without Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. By the way, that game was bizarre also, too. 41 points in the fourth quarter where neither defense had a prayer, and somehow we got 5 possessions in overtime with only 3 points.
Yeah, right. I thought we were going to look at a tie. And meanwhile, what's the kicker's name for Dallas?
Brandon Aubrey.
Aubrey?
Yeah.
So he kicked the game-tying field goal at 0 and the game-winning field goal.
It's pretty good.
0. I mean, that's never happened before. That's pretty bizarre.
One last NFL note, and then I want to shift over to college before we let you go back upstairs. Falcons and Vikings. You said, Chris, that you got plied pretty good with Falcon money. I'm a little worried about J.J. McCarthy. 8 quarters in, 1 good quarter. It was enough to beat Chicago, but now they play Cincy this upcoming week, which might be a good little break facing a bottom-tier defense, but been awfully rough for J.J. through 8 quarters.
We thought, again, we had a good perception on him, too. But once again, boy, these NFL quarterbacks, these young NFL quarterbacks, it's inconsistent. When you look at the guys who have been successful, most of them had like a big pedigree in college, or a long pedigree, I should say, in college. And even then, they kind of struggle before they finally hit their stride. Joe Burrow, a perfect example. He bounced around at a couple schools. But he came in, he kind of hit the ground running, but he had a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff in the bank that he could rely on. But some of these other guys, they haven't yet, and it takes a while. I think McCarthy's going to be okay.
Sure.
But maybe not week 3, And we talked about Justin Herbert. I think kid that's had as much talent as anybody. And here he is. What year is this for him? Like year 5 or so?
Came in 2020.
Yeah, so he's finally getting to the point where we regard him, really look at Josh Allen. When he was, a young quarterback, there's a million questions about him. Now he's arguably the best in the game. Look at Lamar Jackson, too. He didn't break into the starting lineup until his second year. So, I mean, it just takes a while for quarterbacks. And I'll tell you, I love to watch, like, the behind the like the all-22. Sometimes I look at these quarterbacks. I don't know how they do it. I mean, you made that pass. How did you do it? Really. I mean, these guys are amazing. And, it takes talent, of course, and it takes a lot of mental acuity as well. But it just takes time, man, to figure this out.
Over to the college ranks. Let's start with the big one early. Clemson's 1-2.
Yeah.
And Georgia Tech behind what was as well executed of a fire drill at the end of the game as you'll ever see.
Right.
Eden Burr's 55-yard field goal is enough for the Yellow Jackets to pull the upset. Clemson's unranked by the pollsters now, and they should be. But, Chris, this has more to do with Georgia Tech for me. Their schedule is easy until they see Georgia in the final week of the season. There's a path. There's a path here for the Yellow Jackets after pulling that short upset against Clemson.
Yeah, boy, I did my college futures this morning. I forget what I did, Georgia Tech, but I lowered them pretty damn good. I can tell you that. 'Cause I agree with you. They got a relatively easy path to a championship game, but we never know what's out there. But they got a hell of a chance.
How much have you lowered Clemson since week 1 now?
Oh God, I can't even remember there.
A lot, though, right?
Yeah.
Perception, though, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, that team, we thought had one of the best rosters, top to bottom, talent-wise, and just has not played out. But they still only do have one conference loss.
Yeah,
so.
right. Don't eliminate that. And Cade Kublik, so far looks like we way overrated him. But again, we'll see. Long way to go. There's so many things in this racket. You never know.
Sure. The one good thing for Clemson, and you just mentioned it, only one conference loss.
Yeah.
They get Florida State at home, which is good. They avoid Miami. They get SMU at home. They do have to go to Louisville, but Louisville doesn't look quite as strong as we thought going into the year so far. By the way, Cade Klubnik, who is one of the Heisman favorites at the beginning of the year, not even listed. And what is that?
Really?
That's 20 now, Ryan? 20? Not even in the top 20 of odds at DK and FanDuel right now.
Wow.
John Mateer and Carson Beck, book dependent, your betting favorites right now for the Heisman Trophy. All right, Georgia-Tennessee was pretty awesome.
That was a
It was a great game.
Yeah.
Great game. Georgia survives in overtime.
Yeah.
Somehow lands on those late threes that came available at the end. I was very impressed with Gunnar Stockton. And that was the big question mark coming in. How is Gunnar Stockton going to play against a high-end defense? And he passed the test with flying colors, Chris. I have more questions about Georgia's defense now than I do about Gunnar Stockton and that offense.
Yeah, I said before the game, do we know how good Georgia is? And I mean, we had questions on both sides of the ball. I think the offensive questions got answered pretty good, but I'm not sure about their defense though either. And I think they're pretty good. Listen, it's wide open. It's not like last year where we had Ohio State and Georgia were clearly the two best teams, again, perception-wise, but, I don't think we have that this year. I mean, I have Oregon rated number 1, but usually, my top team is rated at 100. I have Georgia, I have Oregon, I think, 94.
Ooh.
So,
way down, then.
Yeah, way down. I think, again, it's just a reflection of the, everybody in the NCAA. I don't think there's any great dominant team.
It's interesting because looking at your prop last week, because my top 3 are Big Ten teams, Oregon, Ohio State, and then Penn State. But then I'm starting to really like these SEC teams. And to your point, if the offensive questions are answered for Georgia, I trust Kirby Smart to get his defense right.
Absolutely.
By the time, right? And then Bama, I'm kind of looking to buy a little stock on them as well. So it'll be interesting. I think you guys' prop is dead on, and I can see why people were navigating towards the SEC, even though my top 3 are Big Ten.
I have to amend that. I made Oregon as a 95.
Still way lower.
Still way lower than what usually I have my top team.
One last game before we let you go back upstairs, Chris. Boy, Notre Dame and Texas A&M, what a finish. A&M scores a touchdown with under 20 seconds to go to steal the game after Notre Dame butchered a PAT because of a fumbled snap. You know, it's weird. Game played in the 40s for both teams, and I come away saying, like, all right, I'm not sure. I have A&M 7 now, I think, in my rankings, but, like, how good is A&M? How much did we learn? Was that more just that Notre Dame's defense is way down from what it was a year ago? And what do we do with Notre Dame now? They're 0-2, and it looks like they have to win out and get a bunch of help to make the playoff at this point. By the way, they play USC as well.
I didn't lower them much. You know, I got to tell you, I think that they easily could have won that game.
Yeah, probably should have.
Then we're having a whole different discussion. You know, so I haven't lowered them much. You know, and I like Freeman. I think he's a great coach. I think Mike Elko's a hell of a coach too. And that's why I think some, you know, good possibilities lie ahead for A&M. But yeah, I didn't lower Notre Dame much. I mean, the rankings, we know the rankings doesn't mean anything to a bookmaker, you know. But I think they're still a real solid team. And you know, Brett McMurphy, you know, he said, "Oh, you know, they have to win." I said, "Brett, they could be 8-4, and you'll have people clamoring for them to get in the playoffs." I mean, it's just the way it is with Notre Dame.
It does stink that we won't really get to see them against any tough competition, because I do think that, I mean, I was impressed with Notre Dame. I really was, because that's not the kind of game they want to get in.
No. But games take on a life of their own sometimes. You know, they really do. And sometimes you have to step back and take a look at it. I truly believe that.
Vandy, I'm curious how much you've upgraded them, and when can they get into... Yeah, when can they get into our top 15 power ratings?
Look,
I think I'm pretty close.
Yeah. Who do they play this week?
Vanderbilt against I'm pulling a card from Alex's deck here. That's a revenge spot against Georgia State, because remember, Georgia State beat them last year.
Really?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, they're still a ways away. I can tell you that, but they're getting up there. By the way, we talked about USC, or I talked about USC. I saw Bill Conley. He had his rankings. He ranked the undefeated team. So, you know, Notre Dame's out of it, Texas out of it, and USC was like number 6 or 7.
I think there were 7. I read through that before the show this morning.
I'm telling. I think I was. You know,
you were ahead of the curve, Chris.
I was saying I was the only one, but you know, if I have Conley thinking the same way I do, I mean, that's got to be a pretty good sign. I think USC's really, really good. You know, we'll see what happens with them.
I wonder if there's any value there on Jaden Maeva, 35-1 as well.
I think there is. Chris, we have one poll. We have one chat question before we let you go. UCLA and Virginia Tech both fired their coaches yesterday. Tech got embarrassed by Old Dominion on Saturday. UCLA got embarrassed by New Mexico on Friday night. So Deshaun Foster and Brent Pry. I'm sure Jeb Motley is okay with the Pry one. But Dean's asking, how do you handle this in college where the coach gets fired midstream?
Well, I mean, both teams, you know, and I mean, I'm going to go on record as saying this. I thought UCLA had a great chance to bounce up this year. But after seeing them the first couple of weeks, I lowered the hell out of them. I mean, I got both those teams awful low. And, I mean, I can't go much lower. I think I maybe knocked off a couple points on each team, but that was considering the games they played. Now, Old Dominion was one of my teams, you know, one of my games this last week. I never thought they would crush Virginia Tech.
28-0 at halftime.
You know, I'd like them as a value play, getting some points, you know. And then New Mexico, I remember thinking I didn't like anybody in that game. I mean, not as a reflection on UCLA, but on New Mexico. It's New Mexico, for God's sake. You know, a Big Ten team can't handle New Mexico at home. I mean, I think there was like 5,000 people in the stands. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, that's, you know, we used to think those Southern California jobs were the cream of the crop. And I guess in my opinion, USC still is, but UCLA, I just don't know. I mean, the stadium's, 20 miles from campus and going through Los Angeles traffic to get there. I mean, who's going to go there?
And there's not a lot of money there right now at the moment, too. The athletic department is broke at the moment.
Yeah.
It just
there $200 million in arrears.
Something crazy like that. But
that Morgan guy that bankrolled the UCLA basketball team all those years.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name.
Probably gone by now.
But it's it's a different era. It's a different era. I mean, like growing up, like, oh, you want to live in Los Angeles as an 18 to 21-year-old kid? Yeah, that's pretty darn good to me, but it's a whole different world at this point. All right, Chris, we'll let you go back upstairs. Thank you, as always. Chris Andrews, Sportsbook Director here at the South Point. All right, we'll take a quick break. We look at the baseball card for today, and we'll have the whiteboard. We'll have trivia. We'll have a poll question also up as well. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here, getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team that the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorite.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. Big thanks to our guy, Chris Andrews, for coming down. He'll be here every single Monday, recapping what we saw from behind the counter and also what we have to look ahead to Monday night. Again, 2 really good betting games tonight, as he said, with the Raiders hosting the Chargers and the Bucs on the road at the Texans. All right, we won't forget baseball. Don't worry. Every team's got 2 weeks to go now. 12 or 13 games for everybody left in this. And let's start in Pittsburgh here tonight. The Cubs and the Pirates. Tyone and Ashcraft. You know, it's kind of interesting. We start off with a game where the Pirates are done and the Cubs are pretty much locked into the 4 seed at this point, barring a big melt over the last 12 games. They're going to host as the top wild card, probably San Diego at this rate, unless if the Padres catch the Dodgers in that wild card series. Tyone and Ashcraft, your matchup here, total of 8 in this one, minus 120 on Jameson Tyone in this one.
I think that's a pretty cheap price here for the Cubbies, but that's kind of going to be a theme for me today is a lot of these road teams I'm looking at. So lean to the Cubs here. I am a little bit worried about their bullpen, so maybe just go first 5 with that. Not a definite play, but I mean, I know Tyone's coming back from injury, but looked good in his first start. Didn't go too deep, but I think he'll go a little bit longer. And on the other side with Ashcraft, still gonna monitor his workload, so I can't imagine he goes more than 3 here in this one. So kind of bullpen. So yeah, lean to the Cubbies here.
Up next, let's go to Washington. Mitchell Parker, Spencer Strider. We can be quick. Both these teams are done. Strider's minus 160, plus 145 on the Nats, and a total of 9 in this one.
Lean to the over. Think we're going to get some runs here. Maybe just Braves over as well. Really not a Mitchell Parker fan. So I think that Strider, even though he has struggled this year, I definitely think that that's the right side, and I think he can pitch well. There's just a couple really bad starts in there for him, and most of them were against really good offenses, including the Mets twice, that kind of skew his numbers. So I think that I think the Braves, again, another road team here.
Let's go to St. Louis, and boy, did the Reds miss an opportunity this weekend. Again, Mets were on an 8-game losing streak until yesterday. And the Mets actually gained ground on Cincinnati this weekend. The Reds are now behind the Giants and the Diamondbacks. Where the hell did the Diamondbacks come from here? The Diamondbacks are now 2 games back in the NL wildcard chase. St. Louis favored tonight. A little bit surprised by this one. Littell and Liberatore, minus 15 on the Cards, even on Cincy. Look, I know the Reds just look dreadful in Sacramento. That was a horrible series, getting swept by a team that's out of it in the A's. But this is a pretty good price on Cincinnati here tonight. Again, if the Mets are idle, so Cincinnati wins tonight, they'll be 2 games behind New York. If they lose, they're 3. Again, the Mets, the Reds have the tiebreaker over New York if somehow they ended up in a heads-up tie in about 2 weeks from now, Alex.
Pretty crazy because I really do like the pitching staff for the Reds. And the A's just, man, I mean, grand slam yesterday for Nick Kurtz, and I think it was the farthest hit home run so far this year. But I do like the Reds here in this one. I do think there's a big pitching advantage from Zach Littell to Liberatore. And Littell hasn't been fantastic since coming over to Cincinnati, but has been better on the road. So I think he'll be okay here in this one. I'm with you. I think that's a good price on Cincinnati.
By the way, that slam by Kurtz was a hearty 493 feet. Longest grand slam in the StatCast era. That's since 2015, so a decade. Boy, Kurtz is what a player he's been for the Athletics so far this year. What an addition. The AL Rookie of the Year, almost certainly at this point. All right, let's go to Arizona next. Again, the Diamondbacks somehow are in this thing. They're 2 games out. Now, the issue for the Diamondbacks, they do not have the tiebreaker over New York entering today. If somehow we end up in a 3-way tie, I think the Mets would still win it with them in San Francisco, but I have to double check my notes because it got very complicated once we got 3 teams in there. But here you go. They're in it. They're only 500, but he had only 2 games out of a playoff spot with 12 to go for Arizona. Giants, again, opportunity to actually have the lead in the wild card after the Mets lost on Saturday. And then the Giants got blasted with their 2 best pitchers on the mound the last 2 days. So,
of course.
So not a good 2 days for San Francisco. Gallen and Tang. Tang has been awful this year for San Francisco since coming up in the month of July. Minus 30 on the Diamondbacks, plus 15 on San Fran in this one, Alex.
So this is tough because, as you mentioned, I mean, Tang has been bad, and I think Zach Gallen is definitely the advantage, but the Giants just saw him, and, I mean, he did go 6 2/3, but still gave up 5 earned runs in that one. So is it a bounce-back spot for him? He was pitching really good up until that point, but I think I was on the Diamondbacks. But this is one where I would definitely lean to the home team here, but I'm going to stay away because it's a fight right now for both these teams for the playoffs.
I am floored that Arizona's still here. Floored. Again, this is just a testament to how bad the Mets have played. This is why this is even a race in the NL. The Mets are 25 games over 500 earlier this year. They're now 77 and 73. So it has been a melt of epic proportions by the Mets, but the Mets are also fortunate that there's no one really that good behind them. Because if any of these teams were reasonably good, as opposed to just mediocre to perfectly average, they would be 3 or 4 games up right now, and it wouldn't even be a race. So, but I like the Diamondbacks tonight. By the way, Alex, this is a great pitching advantage for Arizona. Tang has just been so bad since coming up to the major leagues. All right, huge series in LA. Dodgers entered today a 2.5 game lead over the Padres. The Phillies, with a win tonight, actually clinched the National League East. So it'll be over a lot earlier than we all expected. But it's Suarez against Sheehan tonight. And right now, the total is 8.5. Again, Dodgers could still catch the Phillies. If the Dodgers sweep this 3-game series, this can get a little bit dicey for Philadelphia with the way that it goes. Dodgers small favorite in this one, Alex. Currently minus 120 on this.
I'm told myself I wasn't going to fade Emmett Sheehan anymore because he has been really good, the young 25-year-old. And I mean, he had one bad start against the Angels, and besides that, he's been fantastic, and in Colorado, but I take that one out as well. So went 7 at home against the Rockies, 1 earned run in that one, but I just don't think this price is correct. I do think the Phillies should be the favorite here with Ranger Suarez, who's just been so consistent all year long. So the fact that this game is that meaningful and they could clinch the division with a win, I'm definitely going to be betting on the Phillies here, getting a plus price, and we'll see how the series goes. Maybe it's kind of how we play this one, but yeah, 2 really good teams. Got to go with the dog here.
Phillies are still alive for the 1 seed. I mean, 2 games behind Milwaukee. Now they have to get ahead of the Brewers in order to get the 1 seed. And look, the National League winner of the regular season is more likely than not going to have the entire postseason through their ballpark. And the Phillies have the best record in the National League at home at 51-24. So they're very important games, even though the NL East it's done. I don't think the Mets would even are capable of racking off a 12-game win streak at this point anyway. But Phillies, again, with a win tonight, will clinch. Any Met loss, any Philly win the rest of the way, and the NL East is back to Philadelphia for the 2nd consecutive season. All right, let's go to Tampa next. Blue Jays on the road at the Rays. Toronto entering today's action 87-62, 4 games clear of the Yankees. They have the tiebreaker on New York also. So Jays pretty much can coast their way to the AL East. They also extended their lead on Detroit to 2.5 games for the top seed, and Toronto as the tiebreaker. So the Jays have a real shot here to have the entire AL postseason through their building, which, boy, no one expected them to even make the playoffs. Not even remotely close to this. They are on the road tonight at Tampa. Boyle and Yeseveg, your pitching matchup here tonight. Total 8.5. We got right here at the South Point. We got ourselves minus 125 on and plus 110 as your pricing for this one.
You did good. I was nervous. I was going to have to pronounce
no idea
that
if I
first,
got that right.
But it is his MLB debut. He is one of their top prospects. So, I mean, he has just made his way from single A all the way up now with a 3.12 ERA and a 0.97 WHIP. I'm excited. I think he'll pitch well here today. And when you got a team like the Blue Jays behind you, I think his debut will be a good one here. I can understand why they're a small favorite. Joe Boyle on the other side, bullpen day for the Rays. I think you've got all the advantage here with Toronto. Minus 125, I believe you said, for the full game.
Yeah, you're getting a good price. Minus 130 first 5 if you want it on Toronto. Again, stunned that the Jays have put themselves in this position. But again, as you see on the American League side of things, and we'll get to Texas and Houston later, the Mariners have taken the lead in the AL West over the Astros. Astros, by the way, get Texas and Seattle at home this week. So a gigantic week on what that story will tell for the American League West, and more than likely than not, that American League wild card final slot. All right, let's go to Chicago. We can be quick here. White Sox and Orioles. Bradish and Burke. Bradish is a favorite at minus 140, plus 125 on Chicago, and a total of 8 for this one.
I think this is another cheap price here on the road team. I think they should be a way bigger favorite. You got the pitching advantage. You got the team that's pretty hot right now, besides their losing streak coming into this. But the Orioles have been playing good baseball, so it would only be Baltimore or pass, maybe even a little bit on that run line, because I think they can win by good margin here.
Yeah, I don't mind that. On the road, lay the run line here. You're getting, boy, you can go minus a quarter, minus 20 run line.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad if you want to take that shot with the Orioles. All right, let's go to Minnesota. Hey, remember, the Twins are on a 1-game winning streak against the Yankees.
That's right.
They're on a 1-game winning streak, despite being 80 games under against the Yankees over the last 20 seasons. Rodon is a $2 first 5 favorite here tonight. He's $1.90 for the full game, with Richardson at plus 170, and a total of 9 here for this one, Alex.
Waiting for Simeon Woods Richardson to kind of get back into form after his injury. I think that this is a terrible spot for him to try and do that, though.
Oh, yeah.
I like the Yankees. I like the way they're playing, especially their bats, and Carlos Rodon, one of their best pitchers. So this is a Yankee spot. I think they go back to their winning ways against Minnesota. So I do like this run line as well here for New York.
I would be leaning that way as well for the full game run line, which on the Yankees, my screen's not working. I will get you that price in a minute. All right, let's go to Houston next, Alex. This is, as we talked about, this is a ginormous series in Houston. The Astros have a 2-game lead on the Rangers entering today's action. And this is a huge week for the Astros because they get Seattle for 3 at the end of this week. The Astros this year have to, in order to have the tiebreaker on Texas, they have to sweep this series, which realistically puts them in the position. If they sweep Texas, Texas is done. Texas would be 5 out with 9 to go without the tiebreaker. They would be done at that point. If Texas wins 2 out of 3, that's where this can get a little bit interesting. And if Texas sweeps, then Texas is ahead with the tiebreak over Houston. Alexander and Leiter. Jason Alexander's a small favorite at -125, +110 on the Rangers, and a total of 8.5 for the full game in this one.
I think Jack Leiter's the better pitcher going here, and I think the Rangers are the hotter team. I believe it's 16 of 20. I know it's 7-3 in their last 10, so I don't really agree with this price. I think 2 teams going in opposite directions in the last month, so I definitely like the Rangers here at that price. I like that first 5 even money there a lot. So I think that's the way I'll go, first 5. But I like full game for the Rangers as well. And Yankees is -120 for that run line. And I think we're getting a little plus price on Baltimore there, plus $1.20.
There you go. That's a good price on that for the O's in the you take, honestly, I would go first 5 too if you want to go first 5 full game.
Yeah.
And that one, and then the Stros. I'll just say this real quick on the Astros, where, Alex, we've talked about it all year, where they had the big run where they extended the lead out, and it's like, all right, you know what, the Astros losing Bregman in the offseason, their pitching doesn't look anywhere near as good as it was in past years. They're just going to be fine. The culture's been well established. I'm not, if they get in, and it looks like it'll be a 3-6 with them, and they would either win the AL West and host Seattle or lose the AL West and go to Seattle.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like at this point, one way or the other. Are we certain that they're not just going to get swept out like they did a year ago by Detroit? I think they are, regardless of what ends up happening. Now, it also could get interesting. Again, the Red Sox and the Mariners have the same record right now. So it could end up in a scenario where Boston ends up in the 6th slot, too. So, boy, Houston, Yankee, 4-5. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be pretty good if we get that. We know how much those teams dislike each other, so could be a lot of fun
really
there.
Be in danger of getting swept.
Yeah, I got to give the Yankees their due. 12 games against 4 playoff teams, and they go 7-5, and now they have the joke of jokes to end the season with 2 Baltimore series, the White Sox and the Twins. Job well done. There's no doubt the Yankees are going to the postseason.
Yeah.
They're not making up 5 games on Toronto in 12 games. But at least they're going to have the wild card series in their own building more likely than not, which looked like it could have been very much in doubt if they didn't play well in those 12 games against the playoff teams, Boston, Seattle, Boston, Detroit, Houston, and Toronto were those 12 games for the Yankees.
Yeah. I mean, you can't be mad about that at all.
No.
7-5.
I would be thrilled. If I were a Yankee fan, I'd be thrilled that guys still got a 2.5 game lead right now over Boston for that top wild card slot. Would be thrilled on that. All right, we're going to take one last break. When we get back, we'll have our whiteboards. We'll see what the poll did today, and we'll also see what the answer for ticker trivia presented by City Lights Shine was today when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. This is everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
Sports by the Book.
Sports by the Book.
Sports by the Book. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching?
This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
Welcome back in. It's Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. We got a lot to get to here at the end. We got a whiteboard for both of us. We got trivia and we got a poll. Let's start with the poll first, Alex White. Who will go over their total receptions prop tonight on Monday Night Football? And because we have two different games, we have four different teams represented here tonight. The choices were Ladd McConkey at 5.5, Jacoby Myers at 5.5, Mike Evans at 4.5, and Nico Collins at 5.5. And we have a tie. A third of the vote each goes to McConkey and Collins. I actually go off the board there and take Jacoby Myers of those four, Alex, tonight. That would be the way I would look at it.
I like it a lot, especially if Bowers, we have our question marks there. They might be trying to target Myers often. No Mike Evans? Jeez, I thought that was going to be an easy winner. Don't overthink it. Mike Evans is getting in the end zone tonight.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Jamar Chase was my first bet yesterday morning.
Yesterday.
We got there before the injury. And I think Mike
did.
Evans will too.
It's interesting. Yesterday, I ended up playing a Gibbs and Chase anytime touchdown parlay.
Nice.
Both of them scored in the first quarter.
So
it would be very easy if all of our bets are like that, right?
That's right.
Very easy if they're all like that. All right. Let's go to Ticker Trivia, which is now presented by what I have in my hand, City Lights Shine. I got the caramel apple version in my hand, the special Joey Logano bottle here in my hand. And here's the question. In a game against the New York Giants on this date in 1938, brothers Paul and Lloyd Wainer of the Pittsburgh Pirates became the first siblings to hit home runs in consecutive at-bats in the major leagues. Ooh, good question, Vince. Or good first part of the question, and this end of it was fun too. Who are the only one other pair of siblings achieved this feat since then? Who were they? And I would have been very angry at myself for not getting this if I hadn't already looked at the answer. I saw the answer before, so I cheated here. On this date, or excuse me, not on this date, on April 23rd, 2013, just shy of a 75-year anniversary, it was the Upton brothers, BJ and Justin, went back-to-back for the Atlanta Braves. I had forgotten that BJ Upton had played in Atlanta, but it would have made sense because I wouldn't have been able to think of many other brothers that did it. But there you go. They became the second pair of siblings to achieve the back-to-back feat. And the other question is, how many more years until we see this again? Time shall tell. And that's your trivia answer for Ticker Trivia presented by City Lights Shine. The special edition bottle here, the Joey Logano City Lights Shine, available with this month's South Point slot promotion. So come on down to see if you can get your hands on this thanks to the slot promotion here at the South Point in the month of September.
What's that flavor you said?
I have caramel apple here. I also have strawberry banana.
Nice.
Now, the proof is in the pudding here, Alex. These bottles have not been opened yet, so no one can accuse me of having anything before the show here in the chat. So there you go. All right, there you go. See the Logano special bottles? Look at that. Strawberry banana and caramel apple here right in front of me. All right, Alex. Whiteboard time here on a Monday. I'll go first. I only have one play. The Raiders is what I'm on here today. We'll take the 3.5 on Las Vegas. I said it before. I thought that there should have been a pick. So I'll take the points. If the Chargers win by more than 3.5, so be it. We'll move to the next bet here, Alex.
I'm with you. That is on my board as well. I already made a video of that too earlier this week. So Raiders plus 3.5, one of my best bets for the NFL. I like the Bucs getting 2.5. I don't love that the Texans are kind of in desperation. Another division game next week, but I think the Bucs are the better team catching points here. Going with two underdogs in baseball as well. The Phillies plus 107 against the Dodgers. If you tail that, I'm sorry. I told you I wasn't going to go against Sheehan anymore. But I'm also going with the Rangers plus 110 here on the road against the Astros.
just throw this out there real quick with the Rangers-Astros series, as we talked about before. Huge series, 2-game lead for the Stros on the Rangers. Rangers need only one to win the season tiebreak. So, again, Texas takes 2 out of 3. Things can get very interesting over the last 9 games. Astros, of course, had the Mariners over the weekend, too. But Seattle has owned the Rangers, and Seattle against Houston this year is all square 5-5. So whoever wins that series will have the tiebreaker between those two teams. All right, that's what we have for you. Tomorrow, our power rankings in college football. I had a lot of changes this week.
Oh,
so
I did too.
It'll be interesting to see how we changed our top 10s. We'll recap what we saw on Monday Night Football, and we'll start getting you ready for the week ahead. Update also all the MVP and Heisman odds as well tomorrow. Get everything all updated for you as we go along through the week here on Sports by the Book. She's Alex. I'm Jeff. We'll see you again tomorrow. Big shout out to the crew as well. Ryan, Drew Dog, Vince, and Ann here today. And we're back in 23 hours from now right here on the YouTube page. Sports by the Book, live from the South Point Hotel and Casino, as always, from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada.